He's abusing Retta.
I'm not abusing it. With the human clinical trials, they scale up to 24 milligrams.
The trial is with people who are obese.
I'm the guy who struggles bulking.
Does that sound like somebody that needs to use a medication to help him to eat less? Coach Kolton is not obese. Coach Greg, in today's video, we're going to be going over the reasons why Kolton is using all the specific supplements that he's decided to take on. I made a video going over his new cycle, of which only one product is in fact testosterone. The rest are not steroids. Many people got that wrong. And so he responded with a video explaining everything.
But a lot of people took this video as Kolton's on steroids and he is, blasting them while telling people not to do so.
And so I wasn't trying to say that he's back on some massive steroid cycle. I was saying that the supplements that he's taken could be as dangerous as taking a massive cycle. And so do you understand the difference? He says at the start of every video, don't take steroids. This doesn't show that he's taking steroids. He's taking testosterone, aka HRT, at a dose almost exactly the same as mine.
When I was on steroids heavily, I got a echocardiogram. There was a little bit of a valve issue where the valve would sort of let blood back in just ever so slightly. Not terrible, it wasn't super risky, but it was the development of something that could be much worse in the future.
What it sounds like he's describing is valvulopathy, which is a mild regurgitation, the blood flow going through the heart. And what you need to know is even somebody who's exceptionally healthy, if they went and did an echocardiogram, it is very likely that a mild amount of this is going to happen. And with that being said, beta blockers, including what he's on, nebivolol, it's not going to reverse this. There is no actual evidence to say that this is the smart course of action. And so I wouldn't suggest that everyone out there who's taking steroids, for example, Coach Greg, I've used steroids even longer than he did, that I should suddenly be taking beta blockers, including nebivolol, in order to reverse some problem that really isn't that prevalent on the echocardiogram. And so he's essentially treating something that isn't actually a disease. Just because he got this report, it doesn't mean he suddenly needs to panic to go and start various medications and practice polypharmacy in order to somehow reverse the heart damage that he feels he experienced. And so the heart, it's always remodeling, and by simply taking away the agent, the steroids, the androgens that was causing the remodeling in the first place, he's going to experience significant benefits. To the same extent, if you're a chain smoker and you suddenly stop smoking, your lungs are going to suddenly start to improve. You don't need to suddenly take various medications. You can simply stop taking the offending agents. Taking the amount of beta blockers, remember, it's not just one. He had nebivolol at 40 milligrams, which essentially is the max dose, but he's taking various other forms of beta blockers. And so in unison, this can be so strong that in some cases, it could potentially stop your heart. I don't feel that he has so much damage that the risk is actually worth it. Now, in his opinion, perhaps it is. In mine, perhaps it isn't. That doesn't mean that I don't like him as a person, that I don't think he has good information. It just means that on this topic, we disagree. And so the FDA label for nebivolol does not suggest that you would ever want to combine nebivolol at 40 milligrams with the various different beta blockers. And so if you do want to, in fact, reverse the remodeling of the heart while taking steroids, you could take ACEs and or ARBs, but only during the time you're taking the steroids, not after. Beta blockers do not show consistent benefit in this regard. And so that is my opinion. Do with it what you will.
Greg is absolutely right. A lot of people will get prescribed testosterone from their physicians, an endocrinologist most of the time, or sometimes a urologist. It depends on who you're going to. But a lot of the times that prescription will be once every 2 weeks of an injection or once a week. And what this does is it creates very unstable blood serum concentrations of testosterone, which leads to negative outcomes.
And so you can see we agree on the testosterone. When I first got prescribed testosterone, HRT, from my doctor, they wanted me to go into the doctor every 2 weeks and inject 200 milligrams. I said, Doc, and remember, this is an endocrinologist. They're supposed to be an expert in hormones, and he wanted me to do one shot every 2 weeks. I said, what about the half-life? Can I do it more frequently than that? And he said, well, yeah, but you'd have to come in and do the shots every week. I'm like, Doc, I've literally done this 1,000 times. I've used steroids for 10 years. Why do you think I'm shut down? And so with some convincing, he decided, okay, if you go and see a nurse and learn how to do a proper injection, then we'll let you do it on your own. I said, okay. She then wanted me to do a quad shot. I argued with the nurse. I don't like doing my quads. Sometimes you end up with a peg leg. It's painful. And so eventually they approved me to do my own steroid injections. And I'm currently doing twice a week. Either 80 milligrams or 60, depending if it's every 3 or 4 days. He does have a great looking physique. He's single-digit body fat.
I really didn't think I was single-digit body fat, so I'll take it, Greg. Thank you.
And see, he doesn't think he's single-digit body fat, but yet he's peeled. Many people, they develop body dysmorphia, especially guys who had formerly abused steroids, guys who have competed because they remember that day they were dehydrated, shredded on stage with the proper tan, and in comparison to that, they feel fat. I can't say whether or not Coach Kolton has body dysmorphia. It's certainly possible. The fact that he's still using Retta at 5 milligrams when he in fact doesn't need to, he just wants to, I guess, to help him maintain a shredded physique. And so perhaps he wouldn't feel as good or feel he looks as good if he maintained, let's call it 12% body fat instead of 9.9.
I actually lost a lot of weight. This was during my trip to Thailand. The reason I lost a lot of weight is because I got a hair transplant.
Now, I also had a hair transplant, and unlike Coach Kolton, I did not lose any weight. I believe the reason he lost weight is because of the Retta. Would it not make more sense to go and get your hair transplant and stop taking Retta, considering after the transplant, you're not supposed to work out? I had to stop training for approximately 10 days. Of course, I don't want to do that. The first hair transplant, I stopped for 3 days. I didn't listen to anyone. I didn't care. I cared more about exercise than I did about my hairline. Had he stopped the Retta, it would have increased his appetite. He would have been able to eat more, and he wouldn't have lost a significant amount of weight. He's abusing Retta.
I'm not abusing it, okay? So clinical doses go up well above 12 milligrams. 5 milligrams is very, very normal. Normally, people start out in a clinical setting with the human clinical trials.
The trial is with people who are obese. He, Coach Kolton, is not obese. And so it would be like me saying he's taking a diuretic at abusive doses and him saying, well, no, 25 milligrams of hydrochloroside with triamterene, it's very, very standard. Many people are taking this. Yeah, people with high blood pressure. But if you don't have high blood pressure and you're taking a diuretic for no reason, it is at an abusive dose. And so this is what I mean. 5 milligrams is a lot. And how do I know that? I haven't personally taken it, but I've coached others who have. My friends are taking these doses and I've witnessed them. I watched them take 4 milligrams and barely recognized them. I'm thinking, I haven't seen you in a month. What happened? I'm on Retta, 4 mil. Lower the dose. How much are you eating? Well, I don't get hungry until supper. I eat a snack and what do you think is happening? You're losing all of your muscle as well as all your fat. You're losing all of your fat, but you're also losing all of your muscle. And so 5 milligrams if you are not obese. If you haven't titrated up to that dose, it's a lot. Now, if you are in fact looks maxing, you're using these GLPs, whether it's terzipatide, Ozempic, these things, you could, for example, go to Algorex. You can go to your doctor. You can get them wherever you want. I would suggest you go to Algorex simply because I'm a part owner and I know it's from compounding pharmacies prescribed by doctors. And so, of course, I'm going to trust it, but get it wherever you want. But if you're a looks maxer, you're not obese and you're using these drugs, do you really think you should take them at the same dose as people who are obese? People who are obese have ghrelin through the roof. They're hungrier than last time. And they need this in order to be healthy. Remember, you can get GLPs, for example, at AlgoRx.
So he's pitching AlgoRx, selling you drugs while talking about how I'm abusing those drugs, telling you that you can get GLP-1s from his website. It's interesting. All right. Interesting.
And so this part I don't really understand. He's saying Coach Greg is trying to sell you peptides and so on from AlgoRx, but yet he's saying that I'm on abusive doses. Two things can be true. Kolton could be on abusive doses of Retta, but you, if you're 300 pounds, could still go to Algorex and, for example, get a GLP. How is that bad? Am I against GLPs? I am for it. Many people are like, hey, thank you, Coach Greg. A guy who's actually a trainer is not against people for taking GLPs. Many trainers are like, no, you have to do it on your own. I could be saying, don't use GLPs, get my cookbook. Or I could be saying, get GLP Max from my supplement company. I clearly make more money selling supplements than I do from selling peptides. And so why would I tell people to take GLPs? Well, because I think that some people benefit from it. For the same extent, I promote HRT for people who need it. If somebody's 25 years old and they decide to go on HRT, do you think I'm just going to say, yeah, that's a great idea, I think you should do it? I'm going to try to convince them not to do it, only to do it with the advice and consent from their doctor. And I am not their doctor. You're trying to train and work out harder than last time, but you can't. And so your body is constantly starving for nutrients.
So I don't know about you guys, but the pictures that he's showing, I don't feel like I look anorexic as he's explaining.
So I never said he looked rexic, that he looks like he doesn't have any calories whatsoever, but I am suggesting that I do believe that his performance is going to be lower than if he were in fact not using Retta. If he increases body fat percentage by, let's call it 2 points, if he ate maybe 500 more calories each and every day and just did it natty without the use of an appetite suppressant, a GLP, I think he would be healthier. I don't think it's a net positive to go from, let's say, 12% body fat to 10 by using a GLP.
I'm the guy who struggles bulking, right? I'm not the guy who struggles getting lean. I could always get lean. Even when I was in high school, I always had a six-pack.
Does that sound like somebody that needs to use a medication to help him to eat less?
The retatrutide for me, I take it because it honestly enhances my productivity because I don't think about food as much.
Why don't you just think about the food and then eat it? Like, I don't take Retta. If I think about food, for example, I get hungry, I go eat. Is there something wrong with eating? Have we somehow made it as if eating is something bad for us? Eating is not equivalent to smoking. Eating is not equivalent to using recreational drugs. Eating is something that we should do in order to be healthy. Now, when done in excess, yes, it's bad. If Kolton had 30% body fat and said he's on 5 milligrams of Retta, I would say, bravo, I agree with you. Continue to do this. Reduce your body fat to 15% and try to lower the dose after that. He's already shredded. I rest my case. I personally recommend you take nothing.
So here's the conflict of interest. Greg just told us that they're selling GLP-1s on his website, I'll Go RX. But now he's telling us that he would never take these things. He doesn't recommend them, but he just recommended them like 3 minutes ago. Conflict of interest, number one.
I don't think that that's a conflict of interest. I feel like I made my point very, very clear. Overweight people, fat people struggling to lose weight, guys like Ethan, guys like Brentley G, guys like Sal, guys who are morbidly obese. If the Retta, the GLPs are helping them to stay on a diet to remain in a calorie deficit, I recommend it. Other people who are like Kolton and who have no trouble keeping a six-pack, I don't think that you need it. That is not a conflict of interest.
Point two is that, once again, he's saying, well, Retta doesn't decrease your blood pressure or improve anything else. Well, it actually does. Like, that's why it's in human clinical trials right now, is to improve rates of diabetes, to improve blood pressure, and obviously as a form of weight management.
Perhaps I'm wrong, but this is my opinion on Retta and people saying that it improves all of these health markers. Is it a downstream effect of the fact that you're taking the Retta and it's causing you to lose weight by being in a calorie deficit? Or does it help people to be healthier on its own? I personally think that you would get even more benefit if you lost the weight without the Retta. I don't think that Retta on its own is somehow some magical supplement that you take it and automatically it makes you healthier. I think it makes you healthier if and when you eat less. By losing weight, reducing your body fat percentage, your heart rate, your blood pressure, all of these things go down. And when you lose weight, it's easier to perform work. It's easier to exercise. And so imagine you're 300 pounds, now you're 200. You're more likely to go for a walk, jog, to play sports, to walk your dog, to go out and explore the world. And so you're then healthier. But if you're taking Retta just because you think that it's going to help you, then I do believe that you're mistaken. The benefits of Retta come from the weight loss from eating less. If you can eat less without Retta, then you'll get even more benefits. At least that's what I believe.
It is also being looked at to treat these other components. It's what's called pleiotropic. It has multiple therapeutic endpoints. And so they're studying it for blood pressure, they're studying it for blood glucose, and they're studying it for weight loss.
And so what I think that is happening is when pharmaceutical companies, they do all this research, and remember, this is for billions of dollars when these medications work. They test everything, thousands of things. Let's call it everything, including the kitchen sink. And so they're p-value hunting. They're hoping that, luckily, these values will get better. Something over here will get better, something over there, and out of 1,000 things, maybe 10 do. They report those 10 things. Look at this, cholesterol better, this is better. See, if you take Retta, you're going to cure cancer. Is it really though? Or is it just the law of averages, statistics? And so I personally believe that these pharmaceutical companies will report anything. I mean, do we not remember the oxycodone problems from over 25 years ago? Do you remember what they reported? Billions of dollars were made at the cost of how many people's lives? Faking things, hiding things, lying deliberately. And so there was a case report, a woman who was on Retta had significantly horrible side effects. The pharmaceutical companies did not like this, and so they went out of their way to redact the report. These pharmaceutical companies shouldn't have the power to redact these studies, but somehow they actually do. I mean, when you're worth billions, do you not think that it's possible that they have some kind of a way, an inside method of convincing people, or perhaps having the power to sway his decisions just a little bit? My estimation is that it's actually fake, that he doesn't have quality nebivolol, because this dosage makes no sense. And so hear me out. Nebivolol is a beta blocker which reduces the force and rate of your heart.
Really important, 40 milligrams is within prescribable doses. If you look at the medical insert for nebivolol, and I actually posted about this on my Instagram as well, 40 milligrams is what is on the medical insert, the pamphlet you get when you get a prescription for nebivolol. It is a standardized dose. And this is why I was like, why is everybody freaking out about this? The condition that I do have is twofold. It's relative to my panic disorder, which is diabolical in nature, and then also my heart-related problems that occurred when I was taking steroids.
Nebivolol doesn't actually cross the blood-brain barrier, and so it isn't very good for somebody experiencing panicking or any kind of panic disorder. There's a lot of room for titration for propranolol. He could take a stronger dose or take it more frequently and simply stop taking nebivolol. Don't forget, if you're interested in Algorex, you can click the link in the description. If you're interested in HDLT supplements, the link is there as well. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algo, go to Algorex, watch the next 2 videos. And if you're interested in being sponsored or to promote HDLT supplements, the link is there. If you want to be coached by myself and my team, or if you want to carry these amazing supplements, which you cannot see, in your store or gym, you got to click the link as well. And until next time, that is all.